Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Ji ayanu pakhairagale ni hao chunashumme washmale. Ohai gonzaimas guten morgen. Hola boyo privyet kaifa hal? Hale shuma chatore. Ahlan wa sahlan marhaba. Buna mucho gracias swabi abballi kare aaya. Hoş geldin anayo sayo. Khuyamora chi batto chi hal jod kali mera khairutan. And a very warm welcome to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and watching World this morning. Alongside my very well-learned colleague who happens to be Miss Hajra Satti. I happen to be Shahzad Khan, and we hope and pray that everybody out there is doing wonderfully well and that you're ready to kickstart your day with us. But first things first, hello Hajra, assalamu alaikum. How are you feeling today?
Walaikum assalam. Thank you so much, and good morning to everyone who is out there. It's the start of the week. It's Monday morning, and we will start with Chaudhry Rahmat Ali's death anniversary, the greatest visionary who created the name Pakistan. Chaudhry Rahmat Ali, the man who coined the name Pakistan, is being remembered today on his death anniversary. He was born and the founder of Pakistan National Movement, born in November 16th, 1895. He completed his education in England, obtaining MA and LLB with the honours from the University of Cambridge in Dublin. Chaudhry Rahmat Ali was one of the earliest proponents of the creation of the state of Pakistan. In 1930, he moved to England to join Emmanuel College, Cambridge in 1931. In 1933, he published a pamphlet, Now or Never, coining the word Pakistan for the first time. Chaudhry Rahmat Ali propagated the scheme of Pakistan with a missionary zeal. Later, he proceeded to England to champion the cause of Kashmir through United Nations and died on this day in 1951 and is buried at Cambridge University. Right, and this is something inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi rajiun, and we need to make sure that we remember those people who have contributed immensely to the creation of Pakistan, because this is the blessing of Allah to have an agency where we're able to express ourselves in the form of the nation state.
And a sovereign land as well. And in addition to this, ladies and gentlemen, imagine that, so since we've spoken about Chaudhry Rahmat Ali Sahab, now I would want to kind of fast forward and bring you to 2025. I mean, I'm still getting used to of 2025 instead of 2024. But yes, imagine that there are new individuals, there are youngsters who are actually coming up with some amazing ideas. So the innovation is budding over here in the country. But imagine that whenever there is innovation, at times we do feel that, that there needs to be people within the industry who need to kind of come together and support that kind of an ecosystem, or probably invest into their ideas. Now imagine that that's something which is at the forefront of the Higher Education Commission, where they have actually come up with this event which we are calling ICE 2025. It's the Investor Connect event which is going to take place tomorrow at Serena Hotel as well, and a lot of investors, not just from Pakistan but from outside Pakistan, will be a part of it as well. It's the brainchild of this amazing lady who's over here inside the studios with us. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we're very lucky that we have been joined by Ms. Noshaba Awais, who happens to be the Director in Charge Research and Innovation Division at Higher Education Commission. Assalamu alaikum, madam. How are you? Good morning.
Ji, walaikum assalam. I'm doing good. Thank you for hosting us on your...
It's an absolute pleasure, Ms. Noshaba, and we are also very glad that we have been joined by one of the success stories through one of the very hard work of the HSC, and we will further explore what is the success story is about. So I think he's the live his work is actually the live manifestation of that success story. We are very glad that we have been joined by Dr. Farrukh Bhatti. He happens to be CEO of the NewVative. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Farrukh, and thank you so much for coming to our show.
Ji, walaikum assalam, and thank you for having me.
And let's kickstart this conversation, since Shahzad alluded to, the conference which is happening, and there are lots of investors which are coming in, which are pouring in, and there are lots of new ideas which are being implemented. So what is this conference all about? Ms. Noshaba, please take the lead and explain it to us.
So for me, it's like explaining child by the mother. So it's my child, and I have a long dream for the ICE. ICE Investor Connect event, I want it to be an annual event. This is going to be the first of its kind in Pakistan. We actually are lucky to have very intelligent youth and as well as the faculty who are really pioneering in many areas, right? Yep. We have initiated establishing business incubation center back in 2006, right. And now it's going to be like the ripe fruit now. Right. The only issue in Pakistan for the startup landscape is that there's a lack of money. They don't have resources on which they can bench and they can succeed and proceed further.
Right.
So for having this in mind, we initiated that Innovator Seed Fund.
Yeah.
So it was the first of its kind of seed funding which was given through the HEC platform
Right.
to the startups.
Exactly, which is why I'm going to move on to Dr. Farrukh over here now, because you happen to be one of the awardees of the Innovator Seed Fund by HEC, Alhamdulillah, which is why today you happen to be the Chief Executive Officer of NewVative. How important it is to kind of have these events to connect, you know, people like you with investors or, you know, the seed funding, which is essential at that point of time, not so that only our life is better, but the economic prosperity of the country is actually on the rise.
Yeah, so this is extremely important because, as ma'am said, in Pakistan there are a lot of budding entrepreneurs, people who are leveraging technology to create impactful startups, and that's exactly how our journey started back in 2020
Wow.
when we founded a startup. While I was still in academic at Institute of Space Technology along with my co-founder Muazzam Maqsood. Now we started, we developed an initial technology, an IoT-based cold chain monitoring solution for the healthcare.
And if I'm not wrong, it was because of the fact that probably worth millions of dollars of vaccines was actually lost because the temperature wasn't controlled and wasn't monitored, right? That's how it actually came.
Yeah, I mean that was
came
one
to
of
life.
that was one of the motivating trigger that such a big incident happened, and just because they were not, monitoring in real time the critical storage area where this very costly stock was there. So because of that, this huge wastage happened.
Right.
So that was one of the motivational factor for us. So actually what happens is that in healthcare, critical areas are manually monitored. So we've developed a tech solution where the sensors in real time continuously monitor hundreds of those locations.
Okay.
And that data is accessible on the software. And if
Right.
there's any excursion, the
Right.
user gets alerted. So that's the kind of thing that we are talking. Now getting back to your question that how important are these grants?
Yep.
Getting equity investment is one of the key things that most tech companies has to do, but they only come in at a certain stage of maturity. Before that, people like us need resources, and that's where the grants come in very handy. And I'm extremely grateful to HEC for having given us this ISF grant, which actually helped us tremendously in actually furthering with our product evolution, helping us with outreaching with the clients.
Yep.
Connecting with the stakeholders, assembling a good team.
Yeah.
Right.
So this grant was extremely critical for that phase.
Right,
Wow.
and Dr. Farrukh, since you're CEO of the NewVative, I would want you to delve into exactly what it is about. You told us about that it is a cold chain monitoring system, right? And I would also want you, because yours is the success story of this HEC's initiative of the ISF, what is the other initiative on which you're working, which deals with the energy, sustainable energy utilization?
Right. So NewVative is a tech company,
Right.
and we are developing solutions that leverage Internet of Things and AI technologies. Now, Internet is something that we all very aware of.
True.
Internet of Things is just an extension to that.
Right.
This is where the objects, things, sensors, they get connected to network.
Okay.
And with this, the applications are limitless. So what we're doing in healthcare is just the application of the same technology. Another very important area that we're working on is the energy side. Now, because of the rising tariffs of electricity, there's enormous wastage in electricity in businesses. For example, hospitals, educational institutes, banks, and so on. And so what happens is I was, coming into a studio, we have these air conditioning units,
Yeah.
which are just manually controlled.
Yep.
So what we're doing is that using our IoTs,
Right.
we are actually monitoring all these environments in real time and controlling these units through AI.
Wow.
And we've already demonstrated having reduced the energy wastage from 20 to 50% in some of the actual organizations.
Well, that's
And
wonderful, and
that's the
since we are
answer.
speaking of artificial intelligence as well, before I move on to Ms. Noshaba, how can AI actually know if I'm feeling a little colder or hotter? Do you have a solution for that? Because you might be saving a lot of energy, but a lot of people might be sweating just because of the fact that AI does not know that the room really needs to be a little colder.
No, actually, it's
We can
actually
train the AI for that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is where the human brain plays.
Yeah.
There's no alternate for
Yeah,
it.
for
human
that.
intelligence is far superior than the machine intelligence.
Exactly.
But Dr. Noshaba, now let's come back to you, since the ISF is your brainchild and you're very particular about it. Please tell us about the Pakistan startup scene. What sort of receptive ideas have you brought in, and if someone wants to pitch in the idea, how can they approach you?
Very good question. As I told you before, that we started that funding through the ISF. So there were lots of startups which came and competed with others, and out of that, them only 43 were selected for the seed funding, right? So. But still, you can say that there are many good ideas which are at the ideation stage, right? But we selected only the matured one who have something through the road they have traveled. So, how we help them? We help them the way that by giving them seed funding, we also channelized their working through hand holding. Like we help them through the incubation centers so that they can be able to move to their next level.
Right.
So they were given around 35,000 USD. Yes, they were given that money, but it was then linked with some deliverables that you will do. I will do that. Amount is this. So it was like they had the ability to engage others, which we call
successful ideas. I mean,
they are very successful. That's why we have arranged the Investor Connect.
Exactly, and that's exactly why Dr. Farrukh Saab is over here as well to kind of speak volume about that event as well. But madam, alhamdulillah, you've been with HEC since 2001. There are a lot of various flagship, programs that you're looking after, alhamdulillah. So, I just want, quick words about all of these as well. So, imagine there's Business Incubation Centers, Office of Research, Innovation and Commercialization, support to 55 centers of excellence for research at different universities across Pakistan, execution of the World Bank supported higher education development in Pakistan, which you spoke about. I mean, there's so much that you're doing. Then there are HEC portals. Can you please just explain to us about all of these initiatives about HEC, because it's very rare that we'll have people from Higher Education Commission and speak about what the Higher Education Commission is actually doing for the youngsters.
Because the first
country.
thing that comes into our mind is degree attestation, right?
That's
We
it.
don't know,
it's not. Actually, HEC is changing the canvas of education, higher education. Because, before HEC, there weren't any programs which have given ample support to the youth to move towards their career. So, I started, my journey started with working under the HRD, where I initiated, conceived, developed the programs which were for the scholarships. So, I started my journey with proposing the programs for scholarships. So, currently, if you look at, so more than 85% of the programs for the scholarships were developed by myself, right?
Wonderful.
So, after that, in 2006, my assignment was changed to the research section, right? When I joined the research and development division, at that time there was only 2 programs, but now if you look at, we have more than 30 programs, right? And almost all are not only conceived, developed, but also executed by myself initially, right? So, alhamdulillah, at my own small capacity, with the help of HEC, we plan to do many things for the students. And the first one for the researcher, it was a technology development fund, which we initiated. It was the 3 billion and 3 billion fund, which were allocated to HEC by the Planning Commission of Pakistan.
And that's very much important, and you cannot deny the significance of the research and development in all of the advanced countries. We do see that how much invest they in the research and the development. So, Dr. Farrukh, now coming to you, we are talking about the automation, we are talking about the artificial intelligence, and it is the buzzword, and we cannot deny that how much our social fabric is linked with that, right? So, I want you to explain, the government's role in that in HEC, and how can we move forward with this automation going on with the artificial intelligence. How do you see the scope of all the budding entrepreneurs who want to invest in? What are the essential qualities that are required for that?
Yeah, so it's a very important thing. I think if we look at Silicon Valley, that has all the tech behemoths of the world today, it actually started back in 1930s when, one of the first companies, which is HP, that was formed, and then subsequently a lot of people who were actually working at HP, they actually quit and went on to make up their own companies, and that's how it mushroomed. And of course, government policies play a key role. So I think government regulation is one key aspect to it, and what HEC is doing is a very important thing. And I'll just chip in one important point, that whenever grants are dispensed, they undergo bureaucratic delays also. But in this grant, this was delivered and wrapped up within about 9 months, which is, I think, phenomenal. Because time is always of essence for young companies like us. If you just delay it, and we could literally perish.
Exactly.
So this was so important. The other thing is that typically in Pakistan, we have a state mindset that people do safe investments in property and so on.
True.
But I think it's high time that such people should also start to come in and start to embrace these investments, such as the tech
And people
companies.
would want to do that as well, only if there are enough invites. I think people have a lot of awareness now. But very quickly, last two questions. Number one, because within the startup ecosystem, what I've seen is, I'm sure that everybody probably world over now have heard the name of Rehan Jaleel Saab as well. I think he's doing a wonderful job. So what he does is that he would start up with a company, then sell it off, and then finally he's in Silicon Valley with a company worth $2 billion now. Where do you think that within the life cycle of an startup, where is Pakistan right now? Are we still looking for the investors? Is it getting better? Because then at some point, probably if I come to you and I'll be like, would you want to sell NewVative for $1 billion? I think that's how the entire ecosystem needs to work. Where are we on that? And then after that, I would want to come to Madam, where I would want to ask, what are the objective of ICE 2025? Please.
Right. So as I said, our ecosystem compared to more advanced ecosystems like Silicon Valley or Shanghai is still at a much earlier stage, but we are making headway, which is like very important. And private sector needs to come in. You need to sort of embrace these tech companies, because Pakistan has got a huge population, the 6th largest population, a huge youth bulge. Internet penetration and mobile phone penetration is enormous. So these are some of the factors which are very promising for any investors to come in and invest in young companies like ours. And once we test our ideas into Pakistani market, then even we are now eyeing into GCC and Far Eastern markets, where we could scale these solutions into other geographies also. So I think that's a typical evolutionary phenomenon, how an ecosystem typically evolves.
It will definitely take a little bit of time to kind of get us there as well, but not just that. I think you're working with Shifa Hospital, Rahmat Hospital in Peshawar as well. I think it's great. But very quickly towards the end, because I don't know what the sharks are eating under the sea, but what about, because you're a solution which is technology based. How do you control or save energy when there's an internet cutout?
Oh yeah.
Yes, sorry to put you in that spot, but it's essential.
I think that's such a sore point. I would just humbly, I would just humbly urge people who actually
we're at the helm of affairs,
to please be very meticulous about it.
It's also a general phenomena, because we have seen that how the Microsoft, there was some sort of bug and there was entire disruption, right?
Yep.
So internet connectivity issues are across the globe. It's not just the Pakistan here. It's that. So now, Madam Noshaba, so quickly towards
the objectives of ICE.
So the objective is that, like I said before, that one thing which is missing in Pakistan is that people are shy away from investing in a startup, right? Okay. So we are lucky to now bringing the international investor and the local investor on the platform, which is ICE. And inshallah, if we are in 2026, you will again have the annual event. On ICE, currently we are having people coming to Pakistan from Nadeem like groups, from Park Launch, from Park Angels. So they are the people like who are really from out of the angel investor or the VCs, right?
Exactly.
And I always open to
Which
challenges.
one's better? Venture capitalism is better, or the investor angels?
angels are coming at the initial stages, right? The VCs are the bigger one.
Yeah.
There's another way of funding a startup, which is through the debt financing, right?
I think we will explore this debate for some other time, but thank you so much, Ms. Noshaba, for being here. Thank you so much, Dr. Farrukh, for coming here and for extrapolating on these wonderful ideas. And we hope and pray that in the days to come, we will see more of such startups flourishing, because Pakistan is a younger population. It has more than 60% of the younger population. So now moving on to another very interesting news, which is related to the ICC Trophy Tour, and that too in the Sheikhupura. ICC Champions Trophy begins the second leg of its Pakistan tour with a visit to its historic Hira Minar complex in Sheikhupura. Over the next 14 days, the trophy will travel to different cities across Pakistan. The trophy was unveiled at the Hira Minar complex in Sheikhupura. The trophy will now tour the historical places of Bhavalpur, Faisalabad, Hyderabad, Islamabad, Karachi, Lahore, Multan, Peshawar and Quetta. The trophy will be on the display on the Gaddafi Stadium, Lahore, during the opening match of the Tri-Nation Series on February 8. And I think we are really excited about how the match is going to unfold. And obviously, it's the Shahzad's domain to comment better on it, because he's more interested and passionate about it.
I mean, obviously, you know, Hajra, since we are the defending champions of the Champions Trophy from 2017, so there's a lot of pressure on our players as well. You know, the team is being announced.
Okay.
And I'm not really sure whether we will be able to defend the Champions Trophy or not.
Allah khair
But
karega.
imagine, in addition to this, the second phase of ticket sale of ICC Champions Trophy will begin from today.
Right.
So anybody and everybody who's been calling me to ask for tickets, please, first of all, we don't get any free tickets, ladies and gentlemen. So tickets for the opening match of mega event between Pakistan and New Zealand already sold out in the first phase following the online sale of tickets last week. Physical tickets for the 8-team competition will go on sale from today. Wow.
Right, and we hope and pray that the best team wins. But now, Shahzad, we've also been befuddled with this question, you know, because we can see in our spaces there's a lot of clutter lying on, right? We really don't know where to start. There's drawers which are really stuffed with a lot of clothes that we're wondering that we should be wearing or not. So there's a new buzzword, and that is decluttering and reclaiming those spaces, because a more cluttered or decluttered space offers you a sense of calm. Is it really the case? And how to declutter, especially if you attach so much sentimental value, emotions and memories to the spaces. So in order to further delve into these questions, I'm very glad that we have been joined by Sidrah Hammad all the way from the Australia. Assalamu alaikum, Sidrah, and thank you so much for joining us.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you so much for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. So Sidrah, let's delve into this conversation. You know, where to start when we talk about the decluttering, because it feels so anxious task to do. There's so much clothes, not just the clothes, I mean generally other item in your spaces. How to arrange your spaces?
I think this is the perfect time to start doing that, because as we all know, Ramadan is approaching, and my headspace is always that I want a clean and tidy house for Eid. That is like the biggest get-go that we had when we were younger, to clean during Ramadan for Eid. So I think that's the perfect time to start. And it doesn't have to be hard, and it doesn't have to be overwhelming. I guess you can always start small. And that once you see how good it is, you just keep continuing.
But I think in addition to this, Sidrah, we really need to speak about how important decluttering is and the kind of impact that it's going to have on our mental health and our physical being. What would you suggest for all our viewers out there?
I think that is a very important point. For me, I am someone, if my space is cluttered, I feel like my brain is cluttered. And I think for all of us, if you go to cook and you can't find your spices, you'll feel overwhelmed. If you're trying to look for your perfect outfit and you can't find the matching dupatta or the matching shalwar, you're like, this is so stressful. So we don't want that. We want things to be organized. We want them to not be chaotic. It doesn't have to be like perfect, but it has to be decluttered. It has to be things that you use so that you can find what you need on time, and you can find what you need in an accessible manner. I think that's the most important thing with decluttering.
Exactly.
But Sidrah, we've seen, Shahzad, that you know, a lot of times we are living in desi households, and there are hierarchies within the households, right? So even if you want to really give away something for that, I mean, I would like to extrapolate on my case. So my mom always comes in and steps in and says, "Tumhare bade nakhre aa gaye," and then, you know, you are just throwing stuff away. what if your family is not on board? Because for me, that thing or that cloth is not serving any purpose. It's just lying there. It's just useless, and it is taking a lot of my space, which I could utilize in such a way. How to resolve this conundrum of your family members being not on board when you're going for this Zen habits of decluttering?
Trust me, Hajra, I've been there. I come from a family of hoarders, so I know. But I think you can always start with your own space, always start putting those boundaries, and maybe start moving those things out of your space. Say, I don't need it. If you do, you can keep it, and just get it out of your space. Once you organize your space, once you declutter your space, and your family members start seeing how well it's working for you, they'll probably get on board. I know it's really hard when you're living in an extended family and you're like, oh, someone gifted this to you. How can you throw that away? But you can be like, I really value that person, and what they gifted me does not define my relationship with them. What matters to them is me is the fact that I respect them, but I need my space. I have this limited space, and I need to keep my things in this space, and I don't want clutter.
And
So I think that's like the first step is to just draw that boundary.
Yeah, and that's exactly, Sidrah, what I would want to pick up. Now, imagine that, we're very glad that you're joining us from Australia. I mean, I've got a house, alhamdulillah, in Birmingham as well, where spaces are very limited.
Oh, yes.
And, even over here in Pakistan, spaces are really limited. But with men over here, in our part of the world, it's really different, So it's most of the time, your mother or your family members who are actually looking after your jackets, your socks and whatnot. So most of the time when I go, and I seriously am that kind of person where I would want to declutter, but then imagine that I would want, all of those gym trousers from probably 2010 and 15, because we're not growing older now, or taller or wider, alhamdulillah, we're looking after ourselves. So for anybody and everybody who's struggling with spaces, how would you suggest that, okay, these are the things that you need to do? Because imagine if my mother is going to give away my clothes, probably she'll give away the clothes I wanted to keep and keep the clothes which I wanted to give away. So how do you think we can have that resolve as well?
Which is again why, Shahzad, when you're moving away, it's your job to declutter your things, not your mom's. You're the one who should decide what you can give away before leaving. When I left Pakistan for good, I gave away almost everything I own, which included my Jahez clothes, which my mom was a little bit upset about, because now that my daughter is older, she's like, oh, she could have worn those. And I'm like, I don't think she would. They wouldn't be in fashion. She would never wear them. That's not her style.
Right. And
So it's
yeah, please continue.
never going to use them. I've never heard of anyone wear their 20-year-old outfit. The best that they would do would probably restyle it or something, but I guess with the way things are moving, we'll always get something new. Our kids won't wear what we wore. We never wore what our parents kept for us. So I think it's always a good idea to just keep that space clear, to keep your mind clear. We don't have big spaces here. When we moved to Australia, we had a very small house. So I had to just keep the basic necessities and not just everything that, oh, I think I'll need it.
Right, and Sidrah, and this is a very important point, because I mean, there are certain things that you are supposed to love, but it does not bring you joy. And you mentioned your Jahez ke kapde, and obviously we're married and we know that, there is heirloom stuff. It's not just Jahez ke kapde, it's also the crockery, the cutlery, or maybe nani dadi ke zamane ka saman. And when I was thinking about decluttering, right, and I do get this sometimes, a very paradoxical sort of a situation, because my mom has also kept her heirloom stuff, and especially the Jahez ke jode. And now when I'm wearing those dupattas, they're very trendy. But at the other hand, I'm then like, they are taking a lot of space, right? And maybe after 10 years, 15 years or 20 years, the fashion will, revamp and come back, and, we are able to again wear these clothes. How to resolve this conundrum? Because you're not in love with that, but again, it might become very useful in the future.
And then saving a lot of money as well. I mean, I know a friend of mine where, alhamdulillah, the sherwani that his father wore, all of them brothers are actually wearing the same sherwani. So yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, I think there's it's a bit of a fine line that you have to draw. I recently wore my mom's wedding lehenga for my brother's wedding, and everyone loved it. It looked beautiful. So I'm glad she kept that. I didn't keep mine. I gave mine away because I didn't find the need for it, because I did not know, initially, that if I was going to have daughters, B, I still don't know if my daughters would be interested in wearing them. So I wouldn't keep a whole lot of stuff. If there's something, if there's a crockery piece or something, there are things that are very precious to me that belong to my nano. I brought some stuff with me, but I didn't bring the whole lot. Like if there's a whole set, I'll just bring one thing just as a memory. But to me, and I feel like to a lot of us now, it's not the same as it was before. Our parents, they lived in generational houses. They lived in one country. We move so much. We don't have as big of spaces. We have smaller spaces. So I think we need to be more careful with what we can keep. They probably could afford to keep that. We can't. We need to be very, very calculative about what we keep. And some of us are emotional. I am very emotional. I do get attached to things, but I try not to let it take over me. I just try my best to just keep one or two things as an heirloom or as a keepsake or as a memory, and then just give away the rest. Hope it goes to a good family, someone uses it, or just get rid of it.
Right, and thank you so much, Sidrah, for giving us this wonderful tips. And I hope and wish that you're able to renovate your house, because we're constantly watching it on the social media. And so now moving on to a very interesting bit of the news, and that is that we have started the Monday, and it is also the World Interfaith Harmony Week. So World Interfaith Harmony Week is observed annually during the first week of February, proposed by King Abdullah II of the Jordan. It was officially designated by United Nations General Assembly in 2010. The week aims to promote mutual understanding, interreligious dialogue and culture of peace. The UN encourages governments, institutions and civil society to foster the churches, synagogues and temples and other places of the worship activity, and to foster interfaith harmony through voluntary activities, promoting goodwill, cooperation and non-violence among the people of all faiths. And we cannot deny the importance of how much important it is to live peacefully, because these are very, very Islamic values.
Exactly, Alhamdulillah, and Pakistan, Alhamdulillah, happens to be at the forefront of the interfaith harmony as well. But while we're at it, you know, there's this interesting bit that I'm going to share, because Mona Lisa to get its own dedicated room at Louvre in Paris.
Oh, yeah.
French President Emmanuel Macron announced that as part of the 10-year renovation work dubbed New Renaissance to be carried out at the most visited museum in the world, Louvre, the Mona Lisa painting will receive its own dedicated room. Currently displayed behind protective glass in an overcrowded space, the painting will soon be relocated to a specially designed area accessible only via a special ticket. All right, so it's more of business now. This move aims to improve visitor experience and focus attention on Leonardo da Vinci's masterpiece while easing congestion in the current exhibition space. But yes, you will have to pay some extra euros to kind of now go and see Mona Lisa for a good experience.
And I really don't understand what is the obsession with this lady, but I guess I'm not very artistically or aesthetically evolved to understand the obsession behind this painting. But now we will venture into, you know, the success stories of Pakistani brothers who are living in Finland and who have brought a lot of good name to the country through their research, through their PhDs. In order to further delve into it and without further monopolizing my conversation, I'm very glad that we have been joined by Dr. Nadeem Asghar. He happens to be the chairman of the Finland-Pakistan Professional Association. Assalamu alaikum, Professor Nadeem, and thank you so much for joining us.
Welcome, Salam. Thanks a lot.
So it's wonderful to have you on our show, first of all. But imagine, so your father did a PhD, then your elder brother, then the younger one, then the younger one, then the younger one. So all the Asghar brothers went on to do PhD, and that too in Finland. Sir, मतलब एक आधा भाई तो कह देता है कि भाई आप लोग पढ़ो, मैं नहीं पढ़ा. What motivated you guys to, you know, achieve such an accolade?
Yeah, actually, that's really interesting that nobody asked us to do PhD, but we were so much motivated when we used to see our dad, because he was PhD in chemistry, and he was like a big name in NIH. So of course, we used to see those difficult chemical formulas in the books, and then we used to like get like familiarized with those things. So I think like maybe for the people it seems that it's a big thing, but for us it's just a small like piece of work we have done. But the beauty of our degrees are that we are four brothers and we have done our PhDs in entirely different domains. So I have done with a colon cancer. My brother has done in Morgan Oncology. He has been working with thyroid cancer. One of my brother works with Nokia, and he did his PhD with self-orogenic networks. And the youngest one, he did his PhD in nanotechnology, and now he's working on green hydrogen fuel cells. So it's all different.
I must say, Dr. Nadeem Asghar, it's these are very impressive credentials. So I would like to further delve into what sort of research results that you've got, and your cancer research is being appreciated a lot. And one of the Dawn article mentioned that you've contributed towards the advanced understanding of vaccines, early diagnosis of severe diseases, and community engagement, positively impacting public health and fostering international collaboration. So please further delve into it, what sort of research results it yielded, and are we expecting your research to benefit us as a community in Pakistan?
Yeah, hopefully quite soon in Pakistan also. So basically, the ideology of vaccine is to make it like with less toxic effects and to get like better immunity. So of course, like my field is vaccinology, and I have been over a period of time. I have been working in different countries like in Japan, in America, and in Canada, and now in Finland. So like I have like lots of like latest state of art technologies in hand, and by using that we can even utilize them in, for example, in National Institute of Health. That's one of the vaccine producer in public sector in Pakistan. So and as I have been previously working in NIH, so we hope that in future we can have some more collaborations, and the results of my research can be transferred to the layman in Pakistan also.
Inshallah. And Dr. Saab, in addition to this, while we're talking about research, obviously there was a time, over here at PT World, me and Hajra would always vouch for research. Now imagine, do you think that in Pakistan, the kind of research that we are undertaking is at par with how the world is operating with the research procedures? That's actually something that I would want you to kind of shed light on, so that for anybody and everybody who's out there, probably a PhD student as well, that they could do better with their PhD thesis, because I guess that's where the most of the difficulty lies.
Yeah, definitely. Like the quality of the Pakistani PhD and quality of Pakistani institutes research in general is always a question mark. Even though, like back in early 2000 when the HEC was formed, it has been tried that now this will be like will be beneficial. But I think, like as Dr. Qadir Khan used to say, that Higher Education Commission has not delivered as it was supposed to be. It's really sad when we see that like we have a brilliant talent in Pakistan, but then it's really sad that how it goes wasted because we don't have that many resources in Pakistan. So the best way to cope with this problem is to have a lots of collaboration with international institutes all over the world, and start some kind of programs where we can not only send our students abroad but also the teachers, because this kind of like I understand like the regular training of the teachers are also important in the universities.
Right, and Dr. Farrukh, one last question before we wrap up this question. What are the future prospects of your research, and what sort of findings groundbreaking findings do you help to achieve in order to cure this very menace of cancer?
Yeah, so like in like one line, if I say so, of course, like what I develop is like really cost-effective, non-invasive, in vivo, novel modality for the early detection of the cancer, which means that in like very less time, in very less cost, we can detect cancer without any side effects of the radiations and without doing any surgery. So that's one thing. And the first of the question, which the other guy asked me about, like why all of our brothers have done PhD. Actually, it's very interesting that if you read the articles about us, specifically what has been published in the Europe and Finland, you will find that actually now our kids are also quite enthusiastic to do their PhD. In my Koronka and also my brother's Koronka, my son and my nephews, they were showing their determination that they also want to do PhD, even though now they are just in O levels, but they also have a plan to do PhD. So that would be our third generation.
Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Saab, for being with us. Lovely to be in conversation with you. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being with us. And I hope and pray that, that everybody, who's actually representing your family will do a PhD in days to come as well, and will certainly make Pakistan proud.
Quite a heavy dua.
Yeah, I mean, it is, I don't know what they might think about, them, but I think it's a feat that your family has accomplished, and you've made us proud in Finland as well. So, and we wish you all the best. Ameen, so Ameen. And for everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen, as kids, obviously, whenever it's our birthday, our parents are the most happiest as well. So today actually happens to be Muhammad Aslan's first birthday. We're going to wish him a very happy birthday as well. So happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Aslan. Happy birthday to you. See, imagine his father is over here inside the studios with us, and the way, with so much love in his eyes, is looking at the screen while his child's pictures are being televised on TV as well. We hope and pray that every child out there stays healthy, wealthy, and is successful, and will always be the shining bright star for their parents' army. So, mommy, until next time,
It's a
goodbye. Look after yourselves. Good morning. Have a great day.